It is Friday. Happy Saturday over here to places in October. We have some severe weather all along the way. Tornadoes, wind, hail, all possible today. We have a little bit of tropical activity that we got to be discussing here soon. We'll also go over temperatures expected across the entire U.S. and different weather patterns that you will be expecting to see throughout the next 7 days. Let's get straight into it. Right now, we just have some convection over here in places like Illinois, Indiana. And then most of the area is pretty quiet here in the U.S. We do have a disturbance right here that could form into a hurricane or tropical storm. That's not likely to impact the U.S. whatsoever. And we also have a possibility of something forming here in the Caribbean Sea, which may or may not impact the U.S. So we'll talk about this and more, along with our potent severe weather threat that's going to be impacting Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, all the way up there possibly into Ohio. So for today, this is what our outlook looks like. We have a marginal risk encompassing Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri, and it's mostly just for a 5% hail threat and 5% wind threat as well. Not seeing much. It's just a little bit of a line of storms that could come through. And then our main talk about here is on tomorrow, which is Saturday. We have a slight risk of severe weather with a 5% tornado risk, along with a 15% of wind and hail. And it's looking like hail isn't going to be as bad as the wind threat today. So let's discuss it. We're going to use the ECMWF computer model to show what our mid-level atmosphere wind is going to be looking like. This gives us an idea of what's going to be happening. So right now, we just have this shortwave trough right there that could spark some initiation. And then look at this, we have a nice low pressure system with high winds right in here. And then this over here is going to become a low pressure system over here and impact areas like Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, and possibly scattered severe weather all the way up there, making its way towards Ohio. So as we go on into tomorrow, we can see a little bit of a low pressure system trying to form, very weak and subtle right here, just in the Oklahoma and Kansas border area. And this is where we could see initiating storms, a line of storms, or even supercells convection happening along Texas near that low pressure system and out towards Missouri just like that. And as we go on, it's going to become one big low pressure system right about here. And this is where we can see just more chances. So it's basically like 3 different types of storm setups all at once, which is really interesting. It's going to mostly be a line of storms, but there is a possibility of having some discrete supercells that fire ahead or behind the majority of the line of storms that could spark tornado threat. So the ECMWS, this is what the rain could look like. It's showing right around 12 Zulu, some convection happening from Texas all the way up there into Missouri. And then we see a bunch of convection happening, some semi-discrete storms, mostly a line of storms, producing wind, hail, and maybe a brief tornado. And then again, we see that all the way up there into Missouri, where the main low pressure system is that we were just talking about, that begins to form. And then it goes up towards Illinois, and then as we see, just a giant line of storms, mostly wind and hail threat, before it goes out to Michigan, producing some thunderstorms and not much else. To get a more detailed look, let's go look at some convection allowing models. This will give us a higher resolution of what might happen. We're going to start with the Rufus model. So this is what our initiation could look like in Texas. It's showing a very small chance of some initiation right along here in Texas. Not sure if those will be supercellular strength or not. It depends on how much wind shear is in the environment, which I don't believe there would be a lot of wind shear right there at that moment. And that's very early into the night, just getting into the morning. And then we see convection along Texas for a long time before it fully becomes uncapped, right as it makes its way towards Dallas. And we see a line of supercells here all over the place. It's just lots of initiation, which is not going to be good when it comes to tornado threat, which is a good thing. And then it's just going to be very, very messy. It's kind of looking somewhat similar to what happened where we had a 10% enhanced risk of severe weather in northwestern Arkansas. It's kind of what it's looking like, just way broader. And then some of those storms will go down there into Louisiana by the next morning. We look at a different area, we do see some initiation with that low pressure system, and even to the north of that low pressure system, all the way from Missouri to Illinois. If we watch that closely, it's just going to continue to go, and it's just going to be a very, very big line of thunderstorms and scattered supercells. So I personally am not seeing a huge tornado threat. I'm just seeing a very wide, broad tornado threat. So there could be a tornado in Illinois, or there could be a tornado in Texas. It's just a very broad area of little chance of tornadoes. And because it is so bad, we could see a few tornadoes. And then it'll go on and produce some more thunder, wind, maybe hail threat, and then move off and not really impact a whole lot of people. That's what it looks like. It's going to be mostly a line of thunderstorms with the possibility of a few discrete supercells. Now, if we do get discrete supercells to fire right along in this area, that's where our most wind shear and moisture is going to be. And that's where we could have the greatest chance of tornadoes if the supercells do fire without a whole bunch of things blocking them. This is our NATO cast for today. So it's taking a whole bunch of models and it's compiling it together and getting an idea of it's basically a remake version of the SPC tornado threat. So it is showing a couple of very, very tiny areas of 5%, mostly 2%. And look how it's saying very broad area of 2% tornado risk. So because of that, I do think we could see a few tornadoes, but it's just going to be most of them are probably going to be brief and not super severe, and they're going to be widespread. I do think the most central location is going to be right here in the Arkansas area, where they do have that 5% chance that we were talking about earlier. So we are in a very active area of storms. So if we do get any more breaks of low pressure and have high pressure building down there in the Texas and Louisiana area to where we can get adequate moisture, definitely could see possibility of severe weather and tornadoes this month going into November. Now let's look at our temperatures. Today we could see highs up there towards 80 in Iowa, going down there to Texas and Florida, big triangle there. But then look, we have a little bit of a cold front that's starting to move right here from Colorado Springs all the way up there towards Rochester, Minnesota, and the peninsula of Michigan. And that's going to continue to track and cool down our areas. And as we can see by the next day, this is Monday, we're still seeing about the same temperatures, mostly 80s and 90s in Texas and Oklahoma. As we look, just 70s and sometimes 60s as highs from Kansas down there towards Dixie Alley area, Ohio Valley, and the Midwest. And look there, there's a little bit of a cold shot of air making its way down there into the upper Midwest and Wisconsin, making highs from North Dakota down to Missouri, Kentucky, and the Northeast, not above 60 degrees. And some places in Wisconsin and Minnesota and Michigan could see highs no higher than 50 degrees. So it's going to be a little chilly that day, which is Tuesday. And then look at that. We have some freezing temperatures possible from in Minnesota, Iowa, and Wisconsin that night. Of course, some in the mountains and Colorado as well. And then as our highs, it's going to be fairly nice out for most of the country. The only places that are going to be very nice would be Oklahoma and Texas throughout these next few days. And look at their 70s across most of the country on Friday. That's really awesome. So I hope you guys are enjoying the cool temperatures. It's going to be off and on, sometimes hot, sometimes it's going to be a little cold, but most of the time it's going to be right in between nice temperatures. That is all the weather discussion I have for you today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. If you're here, please just tag me or something. Just leave an emoji, boost the algorithm. If you have an area you have a question on, just drop down the state in the comments and I'll give you a quick update of what to expect. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day.